Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Film Seizure. I am Geoff Arbuckle.
I am Jason Oliver.
And this week and next week, we have a guest.
Very special guest.
A very special guest. He is number one in our hearts, number two in our butts, Mr. Chuck Moore.
I am the shit.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you for being here. So, Jason, what are we talking about this week?
What are we talking about today? So, we invited Chuck on in a sort of our continuing guest appearance series, and what we generally like to do is have our friends bring us movies that they like a lot to bring on and talk about on the show. So that's what Chuck has done. He has brought us 1993's modern classic Western Tombstone.
Tombstone. Yeah, actually, let's be fair. Chuck gave you a list, to which then I said those two movies.
Well, yeah, kind of.
Yeah, but he brought us a list, so.
We did nix Scream.
Yeah, I love Scream.
I know. We nixed it because it could have gotten weird. Jeff doesn't like that movie much.
You'd have polar opposite opinions because I love.
I want to do that one because I like it too, but I would think I'm in the middle of you two, so I could be a good moderator.
Polar opposite. I'm just like, I don't know.
So we're going to talk about Scream today.
I got my way anyway.
Yes, we're talking about Scream.
Yeah.
Wes Craven.
So,
but we are going to get to Wes Craven next week. Just a bit of a teaser.
Yes, a little bit of Wes Craven next week.
So, with Tombstone,
this does bring back George P.
Yes.
Cosmatos.
I always fuck it up every time. Cosmatos. Yes. So this is one I think it'll be really fun to talk about because Jeff hadn't seen this in how long?
25 years probably.
And I've seen this a lot, but it's been a while, long enough to where I was noticing all the different actors in this movie that I didn't remember being in this movie before.
That got big afterwards. A lot of them.
Big time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely like Val Kilmer. This is not even Val Kilmer's tippy-top peak at this point, really. This was like just getting to that apex, really.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, seeing weirdo character actors in there like Terry O'Quinn, for instance, was kind of a mind blower.
Charlton Heston.
Yeah, that guy. He got huge after this movie.
Yes, he did.
He was like a massive star.
Nobody knew him before.
He started speaking at NRA conventions, and like he really rode the fame of Tombstone.
Yeah, he really blew up, didn't he?
But anyway, yeah, Tombstone, super fun movie, and usually, I like to kind of understand a little bit of where our guest is coming from, and maybe a little bit about why they wanted to talk about this movie and what they really what was the reason why you thought this would be a fun movie for us to discuss today.
One, the wealth of actors that are in it.
Mm-hmm.
This was a film that I was super excited for, I remember, because I was a fan of Val Kilmer from Top Secret. I was a fan of Kurt Russell from basically everything. So to see them as one of the few Western heroes I have, like I love Wyatt Earp, I love Doc Holliday, to do this film was just pretty awesome.
And then you became a big fan of Charlton Heston.
Yes. I didn't know who he was before, but now I'm a gun-toting member of the NRA.
From my cold, dead hands.
See, this movie turned him into an NRA member, just like The Devil's Reign made me a Satanist.
Yes, amazing how that works.
Right? What's it going to be for you?
Movies have power. I don't know. I'm glad it wasn't Fight Club, because I don't want to be no fucking like domestic terrorist incel.
I mean, you can't watch a movie with guns with unlimited bullets without falling in love with guns.
With unlimited bullets.
Yes, with unlimited bullets.
Yeah.
I'm wearing a belt of bullets right now.
Fuck a
Yes,
bump
you
stock,
are.
man. I want those unlimited bullet magazines. How do we get those? Did you see this movie in the theater when it came out, Chuck?
Actually, no. I think this was a Blockbuster rental.
Yeah.
I didn't go to the movies a lot in my high school years, and this came out in high school.
Also, we would have this was probably R-rated that was right, because this came out right before we both turned 17, so it probably would have been borderline difficult to see it.
Yeah, that's true. They did check IDs back at the theaters back in the day.
Right around that time, because it used to be you just show up to Lowe's or whatever with a note from your mom, and it's like that's all you really needed.
Right.
But nowadays it's like, or right around that time was when they started really kind of started doing the checking and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I did not see this in the theater either. I probably saw this for the first time on TV, actually. I do remember this aired a lot on cable.
That's what I was trying to remember. Did I rent this movie or did I see it, on cable? I do know, and we've got a lot, I think, to say about this, but I do know that I saw Wyatt Earp first, and that came out like 7 months later. So I don't know if it just was one of those things where it's like, well, at that point I could go to the movies the summer of '94, even if I'm not sure the Wyatt Earp was rated R, but if it was,
it wasn't. It was PG-13.
Yeah, so I definitely saw that in the theater, all 3 hours of that.
I didn't see it in the theater, but I did see it. I remember I rented it was a double cassette.
Oh,
yeah.
Those double cassettes were
it was a double cassette.
I miss those days.
But I'm pretty sure I saw it after I saw Tombstone. And I saw them both either on TV or Tombstone on TV, but more than likely I watched them both on video. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I saw Tombstone first. I wasn't ultra excited about Wyatt Earp. It was a Kevin Costner film.
Yeah,
which are generally boring, long.
His stock had kind of waned since Dances with Wolves around that time, right?
Right, because he did Dances with Wolves and then followed that up with JFK.
Okay.
Which was Oliver Stone anyway. And then he was, like, it took a couple of years to get to Wyatt Earp.
Yeah, so I guess it would have been sort of the first of his, maybe you would say, failures, because...
Right, because the following year was
Waterworld and The Postman. Yeah.
Now, I will say, okay, so I've got a little bit of a story here. I'll go ahead and get this out of here. This might be... It's one of those things where it's like I drew a correlation that did not mean anything. But, okay, so I saw Wyatt Earp first. I like Dances with Wolves. I like JFK. I liked Kevin Costner's earlier stuff. Like No Way Out and Desperado and stuff like that.
Well, Field of Dreams, that was a little later.
That was good, yeah. But it was kind of one of those things where it's like, it's like, okay, well, he's making movies that are epics, that are like 3 hours long or whatever. And it's like my teenage brain, when I was like learning about movies and watching movies and stuff, I was like, 3 hours equals better because it's long, because most of the Oscar winners were 2 tapes. They were longer movies. And it's like, so I just drew a correlation that if it's longer, then that must mean it's better. And I probably watched Tombstone the first time with kind of that haze of like prejudice. It's like, well, this is only 2 hours. The other one's an hour longer. That one's got to be better. But that's not fair. And I know that. I realized that later. But it's like, for the longest time, it's like, well, everybody would say, oh, Tombstone's so much better. It's like, no, it's not. You guys are stupid. And it's like,
right.
It's like when I was kind of like that kind of trying to be kind of more, I don't know, highbrow and more snobbish, I guess, when I was a teenager. I thought just longer meant better.
That phase ended quickly for you.
It
right?
sure did.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes.
Yes. If I see anything that's longer,
all I have to do is say the word fart.
Right. Laughing. Well, no, I mean, like, right now it's like if I watch a movie for B-Movie Intima that's longer than 85 minutes, it already has 2 strikes against it.
Right.
And I like start right off by saying this fucker's long and it's going to piss me off. But no, I don't know.
But I get what you mean. I was kind of similar too. I remember when Magnolia came out, the P.T. Anderson flick, and everyone was complaining about it being like, I don't know, almost 3.5 hours long or however the fuck long it was. And I was like, I love it. I mean, I could sit here in this theater and watch this movie for half a day.
Right.
I don't think I could do that anymore.
Well, yeah.
I think that I was in the same boat as you. I thought that I was witnessing some sort of cinematic fucking masterpiece.
Yeah, well,
and I was kind of getting taken up into that mentality, same as you.
Right.
Yeah.
But
where more is better, but that's absolutely not the case. And I think that's the tale of time has told that story as well. I can't really tell you any really single moment from the Wyatt Earp movie that Kevin Costner did, but I can quote half this fucking movie of Tombstone, and I haven't seen it probably in 10 years.
Right.
Right, and we'll talk about that because you hit the nail on the head late in that movie, or late in Tombstone. But I wish I had watched Wyatt Earp, but I had to watch 4 subspecies movies this week.
Had to.
So, and I'm not sad about that decision.
You should be. Own it, Geoff.
I liked it.
Live your life.
I liked them.
My life included not watching 4 subspecies film this week.
Yeah, and your life is equally as good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? Outside sucks. Yeah. I was going to watch these 4 movies. Yeah. Let's move on from that because that was a sad revelation that I just gave there. That I don't like to go outside. I like to watch full moon movies.
The movie Tombstone. So, this kind of feels like one of the last of the big Hollywood type westerns, the sort of romanticized western, if you will.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. This really kind of feels like it fits along with the Young Guns movies.
Yeah.
Where it's a little bit more on action, a little bit more on quotability.
You see the size of that chicken? Young Guns is great.
Yes, it is.
Best $1.80 I ever spent.
Yeah.
There's Young Guns 2 for you. Speaking of Young Guns 2 and Wyatt Earp, there's a scene in which Wyatt Earp and Kevin Costner's Wyatt Earp and Dennis Quaid's Doc Holliday meet in Wyatt Earp. It comes either during the time or right after Wyatt Earp was chasing down Arkansas Dave Rudabaugh, which was
nice.
Christian Slater's character in Young Guns 2.
Nice.
So there you go. But yeah, I mean, we this is a little bit more actiony, a little bit more lighter, a little bit less like Chuck. You said it when we first see the first scene of the movie is we set up the bad guys.
Yep.
They go and they massacre a wedding, basically, including the padre. Then we see Wyatt Earp show up in town, and the first thing he does
is he slaps the guy for messing with the horse.
Yep. So it's a save the cat moment.
Yeah, good and bad, or bad and good in that order. Set up the entire film, which is, I guess, typical of Hollywood to do it that way, but it was pretty pronounced.
Right.
Yeah. There is no. It kind of sets a precedent of there's no real black and white here.
Right.
We have our white hats and our black hats.
Yep.
Yeah. Which is old Hollywood Western.
Yes, it is. It is much more whereas the Kevin Costner, Lawrence Kasdan, Wyatt Earp is much more the gray areas of the Earps having their own kind of senses of what's right and wrong.
Yeah, Doc Holliday may have been the grayest character in this, but he was still pretty.
He was
a good guy.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What is it at the end of the movie that he gives is it a pardon?
Did he give? No,
he gave him a book that said "My friend
Doc Holliday." It's
Gotcha.
an old those old style
those,
like
pulpy books.
zines. Yeah, and he wrote it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which I think a lot of this movie was based on, maybe.
Probably.
Yeah, because that's a legitimate
memoir
that he wrote. Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, because even the Wyatt Earp movie ends with talking about it's like the Dana Delaney character in this movie, in the other movie talks about how like, well, they're gonna say a lot about you, and Kevin Costner's Wyatt Earp's like, well, we know what's real and what, like, basically setting up that they're trying to tell a real biography, whereas this is all about the legendary.
Right. Yeah.
And we'll get to that. We'll get to that badass scene here in a minute. But anyway, so Chuck, you had mentioned before Jason got here, before we watched the movie, that you're not really a big fan of Westerns, are you?
No, I mean, there's a few that I like, but for the most part, I don't get down with spaghetti Westerns or, some of them have interesting parts, I guess, but I'm not like the hugest Clint Eastwood Western fan or anything like that. I like the music a whole hell of a lot more than I like the movies themselves.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, this also kind of comes off of the Unforgiven.
I was just looking that up.
I was trying to determine what year that came out, actually.
That was 92, because that was the Best Picture winner of 92.
Well, these two movies are so diametrically opposed in a lot of ways. Unforgiven is definitely like anti-hero, sort of like the spaghetti Western hero, right?
Right.
Come to roost, the end of his life. That is sort of Hollywood's swan song for the spaghetti Western, whereas this is, Tombstone is really kind of carrying a lot over from the John Wayne, Gary Cooper type Western.
It definitely glorifies all of that life.
It's more, I think, about the starkness between good and evil.
Right.
There's not a lot of great characters. There's not a lot of anti-heroes. It's just like it's good and bad. Right.
Well, it's the also the build up to the climax. Also, like in this is a grand big scene with big orchestra music of Wyatt Earp basically mourning his younger brother being shot and murdered.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas in Unforgiven, it's no music, just hearing the wind and Clint Eastwood talking about what it's like to kill somebody. And it's like really, really dour and really somber. And yeah, that's the absolute difference is like our hero is talking about what it's like to literally take somebody's life, while in the other, our hero is mourning the loss of somebody he loves. With big music behind
you do have the Wyatt Earp scene where he does talk about, before the OK Corral, he tells Morg that, you don't want to take anyone's life. You don't know what it's like. And so you have a little of that grounding from Wyatt Earp.
Yeah, there's a little
He wasn't like a
shading
maniac.
Yeah.
Right. And there's also that nice scene after where Morgan recognizes that it didn't feel anything like he thought it would.
Right.
And
although I would say that's lifted from Unforgiven, because the reason why Eastwood's saying that line about it's a hell of a thing to kill a man is because the other guy had just killed his first person and he's like freaking out.
I think it's a common sort of trope in most like cop dramas too,
Sure.
But it's there. They recognize that this is an ugly world we live in. Yeah.
But yeah, Tombstone definitely fell more on the side of the action and the, I don't want to say glamour. It's not very glamorous, but yeah.
Yeah, I would say that if there's one time that I would not want to live in, I would say the Old West is the time I don't want to live in.
I don't think I would do very well in the Old West.
I wanted to be the fourth Earp brother, so...
Until they all started getting shot.
Yeah. I would have been the first to go, for sure, but I'd be in a movie right now.
Well, you'd be dead before this movie.
Yeah.
Because there are only 3.
Yeah.
That's fair.
There were a few that didn't make it to Tombstone, right? A few Earps.
I think there were 5 total or something, yeah. Yeah, because I think Wyatt Earp has the other Earps, or like, because I think one died when he was really young, just from the fucking medicine of the time,
right?
Just from living in the old times.
Yeah.
What did he die of? Death. He was born too soon.
He was killed by the Old West.
Yep.
An old timey death.
No. So this movie basically tells not so much the Earps are the leads, the immortals, and particularly in the beginning, Wyatt, Morgan, and Virgil Earp with their pal Doc Holliday. It's kind of like Doc Holliday and his Earp pals.
Yeah,
in some ways.
Yeah, a lot of absolutely.
Yeah,
they're drawn to each other.
Right, and they're all very animated characters, and like Morgan is very very naive, and Virgil is very the exact opposite. He's very, he's kind of world weary almost. Wyatt is just wanting to make a quick buck.
Yeah.
Which I think the Kevin Costner version goes a lot more into that shadiness of.
Well, Wyatt is kind of he's chasing his normal life.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I did that Dodge City thing. Now I want to make a buck off of it, or whatever.
And Doc is just wet.
He is very
He's
moist.
wet. He's a very wet character.
Yeah, it's like he is constantly fresh from a shower and decided not to towel off.
Oh man,
Apparently the tuberculosis gives you the sweats. That's what I take from this film.
He looks perfectly sick throughout this entire movie.
Yeah, he's the pale horse. Right?
It is amazing. He is the pale horse. Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, like, really, we don't know much more about why the Earps are famous. But they are. I mean, particularly Wyatt. Like, he comes into town. It's like he says who he is, and one guy's like, "Yeah, whatever." It's like, "Yeah, sure you are." But then he like goes over to Billy Bob Thornton and just makes a total bitch out of him. Which I'll.
You gonna do something or stand there and bleed?
Yeah. So the
so
first
good.
thing he does when he shows up in town, I actually wrote this down here. So Wyatt comes into town, sees his brother, finds out about this bar across the street called the Oriental, which is a nice place, but nobody goes there. Especially the high rollers don't go in there. It's just the dregs now. And so he goes into the card joint, which is it's a bar that you play poker in. And Billy Bob Thornton's there, and like they say, he's always brandishing a gun. He's scaring everybody off. So Wyatt Earp goes up to him and bitch slaps him a few times. Says, "What are you gonna do? You're gonna just stand there? You're gonna bleed?" And the guy like doesn't really do anything. It's like, "Yeah, that's what I thought." He disarms him.
Yep.
Once. We're not done with that yet. He tosses him out of the Oriental
by his ear.
By his ear, yeah. Come with me. What do you call him?
Youngster.
He treated him like a 5-year-old.
Yep.
Yeah,
basically,
like a petulant child.
Yep.
Immediately after throwing him out, he turns to the bartender and says, "So what? 25% of the house take is good."
Yep. He's now making money.
He's now making money on the very next game.
It took him all of 3 minutes in town to take 0.25% of the saloon's intake.
Yep.
And then he's outside telling his brothers, like, "Hey, we got money coming in now. We got a bankroll." And Doc Holliday comes up and it's like, says whatever he's,
"Hey,
like,
guys,
"Hey,
nice to see you.
Yeah,
I didn't know you were in town."
And so then comes Billy Bob Thornton with a shotgun now, still bleeding from his nose from the bitch slaps. And he's like, "I'm going to fix this." And he comes up and they completely ignore him. And he's just standing in the background of this casual conversation between the Earps and Doc Holliday, to the point that Doc Holliday turns to Billy Bob Thornton and it's like, "Oh, I forgot you were even here.
You may leave.
You may leave
now." But before he leaves,
Wyatt wants his
says,
shotgun.
Yeah.
"Leave the shotgun."
Yep.
So he disarmed him twice. Like, he's just like, all of a sudden he's like king of Tombstone.
And I think in the same scene, Dana Delaney and Billy Zane come into town.
Yeah,
right?
and she's like, "I want one of them."
So and he sees his future lady.
Yep.
Right. So a lot fucking happens when the Earps step off of the train.
Well, I had a note, like, the first 8 minutes of this film, you basically know everything that's going to happen.
You know all the players.
You know all the characters.
Yep.
You know who the bad guys are, the good guys are. You know who the love interest is going to be eventually. Like,
absolutely.
all of it is just laid out for you. Then you could just sit back and watch.
Yeah,
and enjoy the action.
Zero fat in this movie.
That's very true.
Right.
It's like there's zero fat.
Other than maybe some gratuitous horseback riding.
Some horseback food.
That's the bathroom scene.
Yeah, that's the perfectly placed scene towards the middle of the movie before all the good action starts that you could go take a piss.
Yep, exactly. And I use it for that every time.
You did, in fact.
Yes, I did.
Yes, you did.
I
and
knew
you
what
came
was
back
happening.
and said, "That's the perfect moment for me to do it."
And he also made it known to us. It's like, you should go now because the scene continues.
Yeah.
He got up and was able to use the restroom in a fairly leisurely manner come back, and there was still time for someone else to go.
Yeah, and she was like, "Yeah, let's just go ahead and keep doing it." I was like, "Okay." So I guess we're getting a second chance here before some important dialogue happens.
Yes.
I guess that dialogue is important.
Well, it informs.
It humanizes Wyatt Earp.
Right.
It humanizes Wyatt Earp and informs his state of mind. It does show some vulnerability. It enables him to show some vulnerability later with his wife.
Yeah, I mean, even in that conversation with her, when she asks about his wife, he's like, "What about her?" Like you can tell he still cares about her.
Yep.
But he's losing her.
She's kind of a lost cause, really, and I think he knows that. In some ways, he's kind of waiting for her to just take laudanum a little too much that one night.
Maybe,
but also, he does.
He's
still
not a
love
monster
her.
though either.
He has a conversation with Dana Delaney. She's like, "I just want to travel the world. I want to have adventures," and he wants that too. You could see it. That's really what he wants. He wants to continue his sort of legend, if you will.
Right.
And he goes home to his wife, who's totally smashed on laudanum, and he tries to have that conversation with her. It's like, let's do this life that I just heard from someone else we could do.
Right.
But I want to do that with you. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't, but he loves his wife. He would prefer to have those adventures with her, but she's fucking
she's gone.
She's too gone.
She's gone.
Right. That was the final test for him.
Yeah.
Like, once she laughed at him when he suggested that, it was like he knew.
Yeah.
He knew it was over.
Yeah.
Yeah, because at that point, it was like the only time that he was actually belittled at any point, too. This is
and she kind of fades from the movie after that as well. She shows up at a few crucial scenes, but they had already really had it out before that, hadn't they?
Yeah.
Well, he didn't discover her drawer full of laudanum.
Oh yeah,
until a little bit later. But you do see her in a different light from that point forward, where she's most of the time cleaned up. Like she doesn't have like the red bloodshot.
Yeah, like maybe she tried, but the film didn't really show you her whatever she did in the
in real life. That ends very, very sad movie ending with them.
They say at the end that she overdoses, right?
Well, she did overdose, but they part ways at one point, and supposedly she waits to receive a telegram from Wyatt Earp to say where to meet him. It never comes.
Oh, geez.
So she decides, well, I'll just hang out in Silvertowns, maybe go back to prostituting, which I think is implied how they met each other.
Yeah, we met him in the same place, they all say early on.
Yeah. And so of course, Silvertowns only last as long as they're silver. So, after a while, she can't really kind of chase the silver, and she ends up overdosing by accident on a combination of laudanum and alcohol. Kind of a sad story that, it's like she kept waiting for a message from him that never arrived.
Right.
While he's off chasing the actress in real life, which everybody called her Sadie in real life.
Sadie.
Yeah. But anyway, so that's kind of shitty in real life. But, I mean, again, it kind of showed that she was already, her path was already pretty much set, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, opium is a hard thing to kick, and when you have it all in a bitter liquid.
Yeah, you can drink one bottle, and that's the end.
That's right. It. Yeah. So,
I want to talk about the script for a second, because I think the strongest part of this movie, beyond some singular performances, is the script. His name was Kevin Jarre. He wrote the fuck out of this movie. But I also don't know how much of the stuff we know that we love was actually written by him, because there was a lot of rewrites happening throughout the production of this movie. And I know there was even a quote by Val Kilmer at one point that throughout the rewrites that Kurt Russell was doing, that Val Kilmer acknowledged that he was getting all the best lines.
Yeah.
It was like he was giving me all the best lines. Like it felt like all of his energy was going into the other characters and not his own.
Right.
which is kind of an interesting picture to paint of Kurt Russell, really the one probably who single-handedly made this movie happen, but was willing enough to make sure everyone around him shined so that the movie could be as good as it could be.
Well, I also kind of think that I sometimes wonder if that's if because I'm not entirely sure that Wyatt Earp is a guy who's incredibly quotable.
Yeah, fair.
I mean, he's not a guy who, like Pat Garrett, really wanted to be famous for killing Billy the Kid.
Oh yeah.
Wyatt Earp kind of felt like, yeah, I'll take my name as far as it will pay me, but really I have varied interests, and he probably was a little bit more of a quiet person than anything.
Well, he spends half the film trying to stay out of the limelight of the issues of all of that.
Right.
So he only got involved when he needed to get involved, and Doc Holliday was all about that life.
Oh yeah,
right.
Like and
well, he antagonized people too.
Yes.
I
When
mean,
you're that good, you can antagonize people.
It's probably part of the reason why they were such good friends is they sort of complemented each other in that way. Like they both gave each other enough of what they both wanted.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. And Doc made Wyatt laugh.
Yeah.
You know, he loved him.
Yeah.
From even accounts from, real life.
Yeah.
They were great friends. This wasn't just
That I think really shines in this movie.
Yep.
And what makes it really fun for me to watch is their relationship. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Val Kilmer pretty much steals every scene that he's in, and he's in almost every scene.
Yeah.
He's in my opinion by far and away the best character in this film.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like,
There's great actors, there's great acting everywhere really. Like Powers Booth is awesome. Kurt Russell is great. Sam Elliott's great.
Michael Biehn is appropriately scary.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
kind of creepy.
Yeah.
He plays what was his name?
I can't even remember his name.
Michael
right
Biehn. Ringo.
Ringo.
Johnny
Yeah.
Ringo.
Johnny Ringo.
He is really scarier than Powers Booth, and like in some ways, like Powers Booth is like even says, "I don't know what you guys are gonna do when he takes over the gang."
Right.
Yeah.
Like almost like he's holding back the flood of crazy.
Yeah.
He's got a Powers Booth or Curly Bill has a wild dog at his heels.
Right.
And
Yeah.
once he's not there to hold the reins anymore, or the leash anymore, as it were.
There are moments in this movie. I personally think from an acting standpoint, Powers Booth puts in the best range of performance in this movie.
Yeah.
Because there are moments with his face where he conveys this cutthroat ruthlessness, but also this real fear of Ringo.
Right.
Like he fears Ringo.
Oh yeah, because there's like at one point like they're carrying off Morgan in a fucking casket, and Ringo's like smells like somebody died, and like Powers Booth's like, Ringo,
Right. Well, even when he kills the Padre, when Ringo kills the Padre, that was shocking.
Yeah.
To Curly. I
Yeah.
mean, it's on his face,
Yeah.
right? And that's all Powers Booth. Like, and then he's sort of like, well, it's just Ringo being Ringo. I don't want to fuck with Ringo. I don't want to ruffle those feathers.
Well, and
Right.
you
If it had
already
been anyone else, he might have dressed him down.
right.
That's
and
good stuff.
And
Yeah.
you also immediately see that Michael Rooker is the weak link in that gang, and that he eventually gets deputized.
The one with some ethics.
Yes.
Yes.
You don't mess with women. That was, he drew the line at that.
Right. And certainly not with a man of God. I mean, that's some bad juju.
The cracks were forming there. Yep, absolutely.
Well, it's all funny because, not funny, but great writing. He kills the Padre because he's telling the Pale Horse is coming for him. And the Pale Horse does come for him in the end. You know?
Yep.
And,
oh yeah, what
and hell came with him. I mean, I know Wyatt Earp has that line, but
it's really the other way around.
Doc Holliday is really the Pale Horse.
Yeah, I
Right.
think it's two things, right? The Pale Horse and death. And I think you can separate them too, because I do believe that Wyatt Earp personifies death at the end of that movie. He is like, all right, after Doc Holliday takes out Ringo, like that should be your conclusion of the movie, right?
Right.
Like there should be no more action violence after that. Nope, we got to have one more fucking kill him the rest of them montage.
Well, yeah, because I mean, he even says once he becomes a ranger, He's like, if I see a red sash, so the Cowboys, which are the bad guys, and also the bad guys of the NFL.
That's true.
That is true.
Yep.
They wear red sashes, and so they always are identified. And so, you know, like basically when Wyatt Earp has had enough of his family being attacked, he's like, all right, here's the deal. If I see a cowboy, if I see a red sash, I will kill them on the spot. No questions. I'm like, he is death at that point.
Yeah. He lets Curly Bill live to warn them all, you know.
No,
or not Curly Bill. I'm sorry, Ike.
Ike.
Yeah, Ike Stanton.
Yep.
Which is, I think, the most iconic moment in the movie, right?
Yeah,
100%.
I mean, sure, Doc Holliday gets almost all the great lines, but that is the moment in the movie that everyone quotes.
Yeah, I get chills still.
Yeah.
I've seen this movie upwards of 50 times, I think, and I still get chills at that scene.
Oh, it's
like Kurt Russell is perfect.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
There's a simmering rage behind his eyes. Like it's
any time where you see that even if it's like a comedy, like if you piss off Kurt Russell, something's gonna come out that you don't want.
It's those eyes, man.
Yeah.
His eyes are
yeah. Oh yeah, he's got like the perfect ability to like he causes like almost like he's welling up tears, but he's like firing rage through it.
I was gonna say the same thing. His eyes are like wet, but he's not crying. They're like they just
angry.
look. Yeah.
That's interesting because physically his eyes too are almost sort of like squinted.
Yeah.
Right. There's a lot of skin on the corners of his eyes.
Right.
But you're right. Throughout his entire career, he has just absolutely made bank on the expressions he can make with his eyes.
Yep.
Even when he's Snake Plissken and one is covered.
Yeah.
Well, there was too much power. They had to cover one of his eyes.
It's too powerful.
It's like you can't play this role with two eyes, Kurt. It'll kill everyone.
We have to leave some doubt in the people.
Oh shit! They even had to do it in Captain Ron, right?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they went back to the well on that one.
Yeah, it's like whoa, we're catching heat off of it.
Yeah.
We got to cover.
We're laughing too hard, Kurt. You got to cover one of those eyes.
Beautiful.
Prop master, get the an eye patch.
Speaking of props, what about the mustache?
Oh my gosh!
Whoa. I think that was real, man.
I hope
don't
so.
know, man.
It looks so magnificent, but other times it's sort of
You had mentioned it was
a little skewed, and maybe it's just the angle of the shot. I don't know.
Well, Kurt Russell also oftentimes cocks his head in a particular way too. That, like, I think one eye is more powerful than the other, so he kind of leans sometimes. So maybe that's what you were seeing.
One thing I know for certain, is that Sam Elliott's mustache was real.
1,000%.
Yeah, that thing is a life of its own. Yeah, I mean,
I've long argued that it should always have its separate film credit. Sam Elliott's mustache, played by Sam Elliott's mustache.
Actually, I think you could also give his voice a separate credit.
You could.
I mean, he is three people in one. He's like some sort of like.
It's always weird to see
He's a
him.
triumvirate.
It's always weird to
magic.
see him when he's missing a piece of the triumvirate, like the mustache is
Right.
what's always missing.
Right.
Like Roadhouse, the movie he should have a full-on mustache.
But
in.
no. At that point, that would have so much diminished Patrick Swayze. Like we can't do
He
that.
would be in the shadow of the mustache.
Yeah. Swayze didn't have the eyes of Kurt Russell, so he
Right,
could
he
not
couldn't-
stand
When they
up
hired
to-
Sam Elliott, they're saying, we're hiring just you this time, Sam. We got to leave the mustache off
Right.
the
But
the casting list.
now what Swayze brought was skin tight jeans. So it's like, okay, well, all right, you don't have the eyes of a Kurt Russell, but
Man, another guy that Sam Elliott has outlasted.
Right.
Swayze.
I know.
Man, Sam Elliott will never die.
Well, it's that mustache. That mustache
The
is
mustache will never die.
Yeah.
It keeps him. It's his power.
I'm sad that you said that because we're going to find
He's
out
gonna
tomorrow.
fucking die.
that
I
he-
know. It's
Yeah.
gonna suck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're recording this on April 20th, so if anything happens between April 20th and
And then
May,
the rest
whatever,
of the time of that he could die.
We're going
all
to
my
blame you.
fault.
We're
Yeah.
going to blame you.
yeah, it's on you.
It's all
buddy.
on me.
Yeah.
I
It's like my
I
brother.
predicted the death of a human.
My brother killed Bob Ross by saying his paintings would never be worth anything until he was dead. And the next day, he died.
Yeah.
Are his paintings
That's
worth
not related
anything?
here, I guess. What?
Are those paintings worth anything now?
I don't know, actually. I don't know if that part was
he's
prophetic.
super duper famous. I mean,
He is.
He
But
does have
but
a
he
Funko
painted
Pop.
like a fuckload of paintings.
well, every day.
Yeah.
Every day you could turn on Channel 20 and see a new painting.
He made
Dude
at
took
least
7
one.
minutes to paint something. And I mean, he had to have had thousands upon thousands of...
He has someplace there's like a treasure trove, like a garage someplace.
Yet it feels
Yeah.
like you should be bumping into them all the time, right?
Right.
Like anytime you go to Goodwill,
Maybe-
there should be
Goodwill,
like 5 Bob Ross's
Well,
originals, you know?
Maybe, here's the thing. Maybe he's like, it's like, man, I got so much like creativity in this fro of mine.
Yeah.
I'm just going to finish this up. And I'm just going to go roll it up and burn it.
Yeah, maybe he did. Maybe he destroyed everything. He
Yeah.
didn't-
Maybe he's like, you know what?
Too many happy trees. Let's destroy some of these.
Yeah, it's world's not this happy.
His paintings weren't all he was burning.
Oh, right.
Oh,
right.
well, that's why he rolled them up
Yeah,
and used them
So
as papers.
for your 420
Yeah.
reference there.
Yeah, well, too bad this isn't actually being released on 420. So,
Well, recorded on 420, Geoff.
whatever. So this movie really, really, really goes for the Vendetta ride, which was only really kind of basically touched on in the other Wyatt Earp movie. Because it's really kind of more about the people and not necessarily.
This movie's centerpiece is the OK Corral. I mean, it's Tombstone. I mean,
Right.
But then
It's a slice of life.
but then you get like the everybody at their lowest point, end of Act 2, beginning of Act 3. You tell them I'm coming and hell's coming with me, and then it's just gunning motherfuckers left and right,
Yeah.
shooting them off of horses, having that one shotgun that has so much smoke in it.
Oh, it's
That
so great.
That was a cool shot.
And
Or
they-
when he goes side saddle, I don't know if it's called side saddle, but he falls on the side of the horse and shoots under its head.
Yes.
It's like peekaboo moment where he kills that
Yeah.
guy. It's excellent.
Yeah, I mean, and then like they get surrounded by the Cowboys, and like Powers Booth's like, ha, we have you trapped. You got people in front of you, got people behind you, and Kurt Russell's like, no, and he just like walks out and
Literally, no, over and over again.
yeah, and then he just decides he's just gonna walk out into the open, and now suddenly nothing can hit him.
Yeah.
And it's like his iconic, like his legendary moment, right? It's like that's when you said, "This is the legend, not the biography."
This isn't what happened. This is what people like to think happened.
Yes, and then Doc Holliday drives it home when he says he's down by the creek,
Walking
he's
on
walking
water.
on water. It's like
Yep.
we know what's happening here.
I love that about this movie. Doc Holliday is he grounds everything in this movie.
Yeah,
Like he is sort of he's the meta, I guess.
right.
Right? You know, this movie I think would definitely devolve into melodrama and ridiculousness if he weren't there to kind of keep everything self-aware.
Right.
Yeah, he right, because like he has the cool girlfriend, although he just kind of like face palms her, like, get out of here.
Well, he has the earlier moment too where the one guy, the sheriff, or is it the sheriff? He's talking about how soon we'll be as big as San Francisco and just as sophisticated.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
And then
yeah.
immediately after there's a gunfight.
And then
right?
he says,
And then Doc Holliday says, "Yes, very,
Very
cosmopolitan."
cosmopolitan.
yeah,
it's great. So yeah, you have him grounding the film. You have Bill Paxton a lot acting as kind of the audience because they pan to him a lot after something happens, and if he's
got that
confused,
goofy
we're
grin.
confused.
Yeah.
If he's mad, we're mad. Like, it's actually really well
and
done.
He also is kind of looking up to like what's the best, like this is what we should do. We see this bad, we should do something,
Right.
And like as the audience, we're like, come on, Kurt Russell,
Yeah, you have to do
you're a
something. You're
fucking
Wyatt Earp,
badass.
man.
He's
Yeah.
like he's sort of the idealist, and the id also.
Yeah.
You know, he's the one who's like, yeah, we're making money. Yeah, I love playing pool. Yeah, I love drinking whiskey. You know?
Yeah, we're
I love you
lawmen
boys.
now.
Now we're lawmen. Yeah, it's like, oh, I'm just doing what I thought you would do. You know,
Yeah.
he's sort of that aw shucks, naive, yet You're right, Chuck. 100%. He's the audience.
Yeah.
We're viewing kind of the movie through his eyes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. So what? Okay. So let's list off the caravan of people that are in this movie.
Oh my goodness.
Because even the Wyatt Earp version has an unbelievable cast. But this week, okay, so we got Kurt Russell, we got Val Kilmer. They're
are guys.
100% the superstar.
I almost wish that they called this movie My Friend Doc Holliday. You know?
Yeah.
Like, that's because it is. That's what this movie is. But anyway, keep going.
Then you got Sam Elliott and Bill Paxton. They're the other Earp brothers.
Yep.
Even their wives, even though they're very small parts in this, have been in other things.
Absolutely.
Uh,
I always forget her name. But Virgil's wife. Is that Paula Malcolmson, I believe?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
She's fucking fantastic in Deadwood.
So yeah,
she got her, I guess, her start in westerns here, but she refined them in Deadwood.
right. Then Doc Holliday's girlfriend's Joanna Pacula, who's been in a handful of things.
Yep.
Even been in one of our past movies, the second
Fucking the second Warlock movie.
movie. Then Dana Delaney is the main love interest.
Yep.
Even the train wreck that is Wyatt Earp's common law wife,
Maddie
was in some other
Maddie?
things.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Then you have the mayor of the mayor of Tombstone is Terry O'Quinn. The guy who was the initial sheriff,
Terry O'Quinn.
Yeah.
I know that's what you said.
You did that to me earlier. I'm like, I think I made a mistake.
It's a Red Letter Media thing.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Anyway, then the mayor of the town was in a bunch of westerns, like John Ford westerns back in the 60s, 50s and 60s.
John Tenney.
Yeah, and then
Is that right?
the bad guys now
No,
you
that's not
have
Powers Booth.
You have Michael Biehn, who's mostly famous for Terminator. Let's be honest.
A Terminator and Aliens.
I say Terminator.
and Aliens.
Sure, but okay.
I'll say Terminator and Aliens.
Then Aliens, yeah.
And Aliens.
Okay, and Aliens. That's
Quinn.
Quinn. Then you've got Michael Rooker, who's the turncoat.
Yep.
Goes from bad to good. You've got Ike is
Stephen Lang.
Stephen Lang.
Yep. Another Cameron guy.
Yeah.
Thomas Hayden Church.
Is
Billy
in an
Clanton.
early role.
Yeah.
Early film role.
He's goofy as hell in this. He's
goofy in everything.
He's like the pretty boy villain.
Yeah.
In this, every posse, every gang's got to have like the pretty boy, I guess.
That's
Yeah.
funny that you call him the pretty boy because when he dies, they show him in that makeup.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like, here's the pretty boy.
Yep.
Going away in his
Absolutely.
clear top casket with makeup on.
with his rosy cheeks.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Jason Priestley is hanging out with the bad guys, but I don't know exactly what he was.
I think he's a deputy to the sheriff is what his official role is.
Deputy to the sheriff and friend of the Cowboys, as he
Yeah.
puts it.
That's weird. I mean, like, I don't know why he's like,
Was John Corbett one of the
Yes.
Cowboys too? So fucking weird, man.
yeah, he's not a bad guy in anything. I mean, that's like saying like,
And then the weirdest one is Paul Ben Victor.
right, who's playing,
He's Indian Charlie Cruz.
which seems like there's all sorts of,
So he's like what does that mean? He's Mexican in this movie,
right,
but he always plays as like an Italian or a Greek wise guy in stuff.
right.
But he speaks. The only person I think in this movie who speaks Spanish
Yeah, besides
besides
priest.
the priest.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's weirdly cast.
Yeah.
And you said what he's got his
He's got
Klingon?
Klingon mustache.
Klingon mustache. Yeah.
Klingon mustache, by the way, is when the mustache only covers the corners of your mouth, and there's like the big gate. It's like the reverse Hitler.
Yeah, you look at Worf and
Right. It's like
It's like a
the
Fu
mustache.
Manchu, but if you shave the middle.
it's the reverse Hitler. It's
Yeah,
the
sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Then you have Billy Zane shows up
Uh-huh.
as a flamboyant stage actor.
Why don't you go talk to your friend Billy Zane over there, Geoff?
Yeah. You were the one who met him.
I did. I met him.
He's a
a super nice guy. He
although,
wouldn't shake my hand though, but I get it. It's fucking germs and shit.
Did he say excuse me if I don't shake hands?
he was pretty good about it. He just wouldn't put his hand out. He just put his fist out.
Fist bump.
So
That's like the Howie Mandel. I think he does that
yeah.
too.
I was like, oh yeah, cool, fist bump. I get you.
Yeah, I got you.
That's all good.
That's cool.
Thanks, Billy Zane. You
I
were
got
rad.
to jam.
You were
Howie
rad in
Mandel
Critters,
into the
Billy
show.
Zane.
He was rad. Agreed.
Who else is in this damn gang?
The narrator is
Oh, that's Robert Mitchum.
Robert Mitchum.
Fucking
yeah.
Robert Mitchum. My God.
And of course, hardly known Charlton Heston.
Yes, his film break. In his film break,
screen debut, introducing Charlton Heston.
I literally always, and I think you mentioned this too, Jason, I always forget he's in this film. And I always have that moment where I'm like, is that, it's Charlton Heston. I know it's Charlton
Every
Heston.
time.
Yeah.
Every damn time.
Yeah.
I almost sometimes expect him to be hanging out with like a chimpanzee or something. Like I've seen Planet of the Apes so much that every time he shows up in something, I would like to see like Roddy McDowall come out and as Cornelius and just like hanging out like in the background, like
right.
It's like just happening in the background there.
It's kind of surprising that he doesn't get involved in the fight even a little. He has zero action. He's
but he did say
a ranch owner. You have to come through.
You have to come through me to get Doc.
Yeah,
but didn't they imply that they were going to do that, and they never showed an attempt that the Cowboys were going to do that, and they never showed an attempt. Was that maybe left on the cutting room floor?
Who was left behind, and he's like, well, no, it's not. It wasn't on the cutting room floor because Doc was playing them all for fools anyway.
But I thought
he left anyway.
But I thought that Ringo said earlier that
he
knew where they were. Like he
burn it down, but
mentioned the ranch.
Yeah, maybe they burned it down.
I feel like maybe that there was like a scene missing or
something. Probably.
Yeah.
They're probably like,
Charlton Heston,
whoa,
like
we're getting the Kevin Costner link.
Just sitting on his porch with the shotgun, waiting for him to come.
Something, or Heston and his boys took him down. Something. Yeah, that would have been a cool scene to see.
Yep, not cooler than.
But I think the problem is you have to have that moment where you think that Doc's out of the game,
right?
And then he shows up to take out Ringo. Right. In Wyatt's stead.
That is one
which
thing,
is one of the greatest scenes.
Right.
So good.
What makes a lot of the scenes in this work is that you guys touched on it before. It's like everything is set up in the first act, and it's like a very much a Chekhov type of thing, right? Where it's like things are set up and they have to be paid off before we roll those credits.
Right. Chekhov's gun, is that what you're saying?
Yep, exactly. Yep. Yeah, almost quite literally. Yep. There is like something happened. Like there's a confrontation between Ringo and Doc Holliday early that you think, oh, well, these are just two guys who like to intimidate people, and they end up are just intimidating and antagonizing each other. Oh, I'm sure Wyatt will put him in his place. No, it's going to be. I mean, that will pay off. Like the final fight is those two guys, not Wyatt Earp doesn't have a final fight. His final fight is his walking on water moment, really.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, he takes out Curly. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But they saved that for the end, obviously, because it was I don't even know how to say this, but they saved it for the very end because it was set up, because Billy Beaton Ringo was the crazy person in the film, and because Doc Holliday was so larger than life. Like if you did that any sooner in the film, it would have felt like an injustice. The Curly Bill and Wyatt thing was like whatever.
Yeah.
Kind of. It was more about what he did in that scene, walking on water and shooting everybody, but there wasn't a whole lot of meaning there.
Right.
Yeah.
Other than, gang leader versus gang leader or whatever.
Right. Yeah, everything in the movie is setting up the final confrontation between Doc and Ringo. Absolutely.
Yeah. Johnny Ringo.
I mean, several times they come into contact with each other and just like, is this going to be the time?
Yeah.
Are they going to throw down now?
Johnny has that amazing scene with the gun where he's flipping it around, and then Doc Holliday basically mocks him with his shot glass.
Right.
It's beautiful.
God, it is beautiful because it's simultaneously disarming and mocking.
Right.
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 It's the only thing he probably could have done to save face and not have to fight him.
And not have a shootout
Yep.
in the saloon.
Well,
yeah.
and also to say I'm not scared of you either.
Right. Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It's like this is not the time or the place. This has got to be diffused, and it's the only thing he could have done. And almost any other circumstance that would have ended in violence.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
But what's interesting too is Wyatt Earp in that scene. He's preparing for the worst.
Well,
he's got the shotgun
under
under the table ready to go, but he's cool as a cucumber. He has total trust in how Doc's going to play this.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, because at one point, like you see him put his hand under there and like position the gun, but then the next time you see him, he's pulled his hands back out.
It's great writing.
Right.
Yeah.
It's unbelievably good writing.
Yep.
So, final thoughts.
I like this movie.
I love this movie. I'll do you one better.
Yeah, this movie's pretty cool.
I really enjoy talking about it. It's there were times in the film where you guys had mentioned something where I was like, oh, I haven't thought of it that way or whatever. None of them come to mind right now. But
well, no, there's one point in which is it Dana Delaney who's singing in the Oriental, and you say this is almost like a
It's the scene before the thunderstorm.
Right, and it's like basically
the calm before the storm.
Yeah.
But it's also
uneasy.
she's singing kind of like a somber song where it's kind of like this is the end of the good times.
You said it was uneasy. This has a really uneasy feeling, and to me, I never really. Yeah.
Yeah. You know that there's it's a harbinger.
Yeah.
Of something bad to happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the feeling I always get, and I was like, oh man, things are about to go badly.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
they do.
This is a good script because it does almost painstakingly not only set something up but pay it off, but also have something that's happening that is that is some sort of symbolism as well.
I think it's amazing that this movie is as good as it is and has stood this test of time, considering how it almost all fell apart. Originally, Kevin Jarre, the screenwriter, was supposed to direct, but he was not handling the pressure of that job well. He /quit, got fired, and the studio wasn't happy because he was actually Kurt Russell's pick. Like, Kurt Russell went to bat for him, and now Kurt Russell was kind of like, fuck.
Right.
I got to save this movie, right? And they were a month into production at this point when they had no director. So he didn't want to be the guy. He was like, no, I don't want my name on this movie. We got to get somebody else who can do at least that heavy lifting. And he went to Sly Stallone. Sly Stallone recommended George P. Of Rambo and Cobra fame, Rambo 2, I should say. We've talked about George P. a lot, the fact that he was essentially a ghost director on Cobra and Rambo First Blood Part 2 for Stallone. And Stallone was like, yeah, of course I got a guy for you. I got George P. It'll be perfect, you know? And that's really what he was, is he was a ghost director on this movie. George P. brings a lot to the table, but all the big decisions were made by Kurt Russell in this. Constant rewrites.
Thankfully.
Made by Kurt Russell. Yeah.
Who knows what this movie would have been without.
The shot list every morning was given to George P. by Kurt Russell. He's like, this is what we're shooting today. Yeah, I mean, everything. He basically told George P. in clear terms, this is how it's going to be. This is what you're going to shoot. This is what the movie's going to be.
You're here to say cut in action.
Yep, exactly.
And he was good with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of it. He kind of built a career on that, which is kind of a weird thing. And then conflicting views on who edited what. Val Kilmer seems to say that Kurt and Val edited most of the movie together. Kurt Russell said he wished he could have edited it because it could have been an even better movie than it was. So I don't know if he's like disavowing some of the mistakes that he sees that he could have fixed. I don't know.
I'm inclined to believe that Val Kilmer was telling the truth and more Kurt Russell didn't want to take credit for everything.
Yeah, possibly. But it's sort of shitty too, because there's an editor in this movie who he also then just threw under the bus.
Yeah.
Said if it was
that is shitty.
If it had a better edit, it would have been
Who cares
a better
about
movie.
the editors anyway?
But it's amazing. This movie should have been just absolute dog shit with that kind of production.
Right.
But it's testament really to Kurt Russell's absolute fucking will to make this movie happen and make it great, that it is great. I don't know. Yeah. I think that's pretty fucking lasting. I don't know. I don't know how proud he is of this movie, Kurt Russell. I think he looks at it as a minor success, but
well, I'm curious because obviously our generation takes to this movie really, really, really well. I'm curious what younger people and older people think of it. Older people may think of it as too fast. It's a little, it's a little too much. Younger people, I don't know.
I think it's made for a twitchy generation that needs change and speed. Actually, I'd like to show it to my kids sometime soon.
Yeah.
But it changes so quickly, I think it will hold the interest of children or younger people. Because, in this age, everyone needs a flashing screen or whatever. This movie delivers in a very good pace, I think.
Yeah, it is paced without a whole lot of MTV edit type stuff.
Right.
It does deliver a fast pace. It does not feel like a 2 hour and 10-minute movie.
No, I was actually surprised when you said it was 2 hours. I've seen it, like I said, countless times, and it always goes by.
This movie
really
moves.
fast.
It moves, absolutely. And there's just so many great encounters. There's so many different characters that react with each other in different ways that are all dynamic.
Right.
And everybody's kind of has their own motivations that you don't have to discern. It's like if they took a season of Deadwood and put it into a 2 hour movie.
Right.
It just does not fuck around with any of that. It's like,
right.
This is who everybody is and what they want and how they're playing their cards.
And all the tension though is warranted, right?
Because because the characters are so strong.
Right.
Yeah.
And you see enough of what caused it for just it's not just the bunch of people that hate each other. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean it's
which is funny that the movie revolves around the card table a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just works. It's like all the best things of the different types of Westerns.
Right.
All kind of mashed into one just fun fucking movie.
Yep.
Indeed. So what do we got next week? Chuck, what are you bringing us next week?
We are going to do Wes Craven's Nightmare on Elm Street next week.
Yeah. So Jason, you and I have done a lot of Friday the 13th so far. 6 of them so far.
Yes.
Now we get to look at the distinguished competition.
Yeah. Our first foray into the Freddy Krueger.
And I'll tell you right now, there are not going to be many forays into this series.
One foray is enough for you?
1 through 3 and New Nightmare. The rest are just throw them in the garbage can.
That's a true statement. We can talk more about that next week, but
yes.
I think we should.
But yeah, I'm excited to talk because this is a truly very, very good horror movie.
Agreed.
So yeah, that's why I saw that on the list and I was like, "Ooh, that one."
Yeah.
And we kind of do that as we wait.
Because you're right. We've of the big 3, we've hit Halloween pretty hard. We
did the fuck out of Hellraiser.
Yeah.
That's not in the big 3.
But like of the franchises.
Yeah.
know.
And of course we've done the first 6 Fridays, but we have not touched any Wes Craven.
That's surprising.
No, that's not right. We did. We haven't done any Wes Craven.
You
wouldn't do Scream, so.
Well,
we'll
talk about that next week. We'll talk about that next week. Because I want to set the record straight on some of this. I feel that there has been some fake news.
So, listeners, stay tuned for Geoff setting the record straight next week on Film Seizure.
That's what people come here for. So anyway, yes. So I'm looking forward to Nightmare on Elm Street. Jason, where can people find that episode when it happens?
When it happens, you can find it at filmseizure.com. You can go to all of the major social media outlets like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Flug Flog, and Flim Flam.
Flute Flog and Flim Flam.
Yep, they're up and comers. I got stock in them.
Okay.
They're gonna take over.
Okay.
Take over. My Fluke Flag account is fucking killing it. Man.
Wow.
Yeah, I get like 3 likes a day.
Sweet.
Yeah. You can also listen to us on Spotify, on iTunes, on Google Play, on Music Place, on.
Is that another new?
Yeah.
On MySpace.
SoundCloud.
SoundCloud.
Yes.
That's where everything gets uploaded. Yep. Yep. There's lots of places.
Yes.
You could go to the Google machine and type in Film Seizure, and I guarantee you'll find us.
The Google machine.
The Google machine.
I'm learning about a lot of new technology here, Chuck.
Yeah, I mean, Jason's always been on the cutting edge of technology, so
The
just
Fluke
stick with
Flam.
him.
Yeah.
The Fluke Flam.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man, it's gonna be the next MySpace.
That's like Icelandic Facebook, right? Is that what that is?
Probably.
So, yeah. Also, every Monday you got Monster Mondays. I don't know what's like I said. This is coming out a little bit later. So I mean, yeah, like when movies come out that we want to talk about, we'll talk about it on the Film Seizure at the movies.
Yes, indeed.
But yeah. So yeah, I'll see you next week, guys, in this room. I'm out of here for 7 days. Then we'll be back to talk about Nightmare on Elm Street. I don't know where I'm going.
I'm not going to let you
That's an
keep me
outtake
here.
That's not going to get edited out because anyway, I always leave my most embarrassing bits in.
So Jeff,
Yeah.
who have they been listening to?
Oh, well,
Chuck Moore.
Jeff Arbuckle.
Jason Oliver, and you have been listening to Film Seizure.
Boudoir.
Boudoir.
So wait, how do you say it?
Boudoir.
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 Yeah.
Boudoir, not bard.
Not Bardwar.
Not,
Bar-
not
Bardwar.
Boudoir.
Yeah,
Or not
Bardwar is what
Borg.
you were saying.
Yeah. Or not Flugel
Whoa, wait a minute. So board where?
Boudoir.
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 Water?
You don't even
Yes.
have to have the R.
Boudoir.
No, I don't think you have to, but most
But boudoir?
Yeah.
boudoir,
Boudoir.
boudoir,
Boudoir.
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 Not Boudoir.
Boudoir.
Yeah.
So boudoir.
Boudoir.
Boudoir. Okay. I can go into Montreal. I got to learn these things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to get
All right, now
some
I'm gonna stop
Boudoir
re-
pictures
The
done.
boardwalk.
Now I'm going to stop recording.
You tell them I'm coming, and hell's coming with me, you hear? Hell's coming with me!